Hello and welcome to the Rails Board meeting. Thank you for all attending and thank you for making the trip to Morton. I hope you enjoyed the tour of our facility and lunch. I'm Laura Turner, President of the Rails Board, and I call this meeting to order on Friday, June 28th, 2019 at 1 p.m. Emily, can you call the roll?
Sure. Christine Barr.
Here.
Dave Berry.
Here.
Sue Busenbark. Michael Campbell.
Here.
Ryan Gregory.
Here.
Jay Caston. Burridge unmuted.
No.
Emily J said here.
Said it loudly too.
Thank you.
I think you can hear
Paul
me
Mills.
without the mic.
Now I can hear you. Paul Mills.
Here.
Scott Poynton.
Here.
Good luck,
Dee
Scott.
Runnels.
Here.
Nadia Shake.
Here.
Michelle Simmons.
Here.
Tom Stagg.
Here.
Laura Turner.
Here. Okay, thank you. We will do guests and public comments at the same time. Let's start here with guests here in Morton. Go ahead.
I'm Sarah McConchase. I'm from Northern Illinois University, and I'm joining the board next week.
Okay, thank you.
Jenny Mills, Shorewood Troy Public Library District.
Okay. Any other guests?
Hallie Cox, Director of the Kane County Law Library and Self-Help Legal Center, and I'll be joining the board next.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comments?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, sorry.
I'll go. Emily Feister, Rails.
Wesley Smith,
Rails.
Rails.
Deirdre Brennan, Rails.
Jim Krieger, Rails.
Jane Plass, Rails.
Dan Bostrom, Rails.
Mark Hatch, Rails.
Mary Witt, Rails.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Anna Hudson, RSA.
Jane Bradbury, RSA.
Okay, do we have all the guests here in Morton then? Yes? Do we have any public comments here in Morton? Okay, hearing none, we will go to Bolingbrook. Do we have any guests or public comments in Bolingbrook? Burr Ridge, do we have guests or public comments in Burr Ridge?
Ann Slaughter, Rails.
Kate Hall, Northbrook Public Library.
Stacy Palmisano, Rails.
Grant Halter, Rails.
Diana Rush, Rails.
And that's it here in Burr Ridge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Guests or public comments in Cole Valley? Okay. Hearing none, we will do guests and public comments in East Peoria. Okay, and hearing none there, we will go to the Illinois State Library, guests or public comments.
Public comments.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. We will move to adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion and second for the adoption of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Paul, second by Dave. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Approval of Rails Board minutes, financial reports and expenditures. For the Rails Board meetings of May 24th, 2019, the regular meeting, may I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the May 24th Rails Board meeting?
So
I'll make the motion.
It was moved by Michael here. Can we have a second?
Nadia.
Okay, second by Nadia. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the closed session from May 24th. May I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the May 24th Rails closed session meeting?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Dave. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Michael. Tom, I am so sorry. Sorry about that. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. All right. We will move on to 6.2, review of closed session minute meetings. The Open Meetings Act requires boards to review closed session minutes at least semi-annually. It also states in part that a determination shall be made and reported in open session that the need for confidentiality still exists, or that the minutes no longer require confidential treatment and are available for public inspection. Staff recommends that the closed session meetings for Rails Board meetings of May 25th, 2018 be released as they no longer require confidential treatment. May I have a motion for the release of the closed session minutes as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Gwen,
Second.
second by Michael. Got it this time. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Do you have any abstentions? Motion carried. So next up, we have Jim with the financial report and expenditures.
Okay, good afternoon. The May financial report is included in your board packet. The highlights are at the end of May in our general fund, we had cash investment balance of 13.5 million, which was enough to cover an estimated 14.4 months of operations. We did not receive, our cash and investment balance did decrease during that month as we received no area and per capita grant payments. But this last Tuesday, we received two payments of $1,072,500 each. So that's replenished our fund again. And then also this morning, we received word that an additional payment had been released of $1,072,500. That will bring us to around 2/3 of this year's grant having been received, right by the end of the year. So it's the timeliness has increased over the last couple of months. There's still three vouchers of $1,072,500 in for payment, and we never know when they're getting that, but the fact that three have been released in the last 2 weeks was encouraging. Our investment income continues strong. It was $104,000 over budget as interest rates had increased over the past year. In the last few months, they've leveled off and even declined slightly. And there is now talk of a possible cut in the prime rate. So it may taper off, but we do have a good cash balance to earn some interest income on. The general fund expenditures through May were $895,000 under budget. That's been because our personnel and contractual services and other areas have been below budget. They should remain below budget. Personnel did go over budget for the month of May as we hired a few positions that were unbudgeted, and they'll be over a little bit in June, but then they'll resume these positions are in the budget for next year, so we'll start leveling off, but it's not that much over budget. Our contractual services, our grants to join LSAPs, the catalog memberships will be, we estimate about $254,000 below budget for the year. So that was a major category also. I'm estimating, just very preliminary, we're $895,000 under budget on expenditures through May. I think we'll be in June, we do some catch up because expenditures often lag by a month. So we'll be getting expenditures pertaining to fiscal year 19 in July that we'll be booking. But I think we'll end up somewhere around 700,000 below budget for the year on our expenditures. Don't hold me to that. I'll have a better estimate next month. But that's what I think is in the hopper. Can I answer any questions? Okay. And we can move on.
Okay, may I have a motion for the approval of the check voucher register for May 2019?
The amount is $905,933.84.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Paul. Second by Nadia. Emily, will you please call the roll?
Christine Barr,
Yes.
Dave Barry,
Yes.
Sue Busenbark, Michael Campbell,
Yes.
Gwen Gregory,
Yes.
Jake Caston,
Yes.
Paul Mills,
Yes.
Scott Poynton,
Yes.
Nadia Shake,
Yes.
Michelle Simmons,
Yes.
Thomas Stagg,
Yes.
Laura Turner.
Yes,
Thank you.
motion carried. Okay, we will move on to 7 reports. Report from the Rails president. I do not have one. So now here we are again, Paul. Do we have a report from the Rails vice president?
We do have a report from the Vice President. And Laura, and thank you for your wonderful years of service. I wanted to present this plaque to you and to thank you for everything you've done for the system and really going out with a tremendous final meeting because the tour today was fabulous.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you so
very
much, Paul.
I'll stand in back.
Oh, he's so much taller than us. Right.
That's okay.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, well, that was a good report. I like it. Okay, I already kind of said my thank yous earlier, so I don't want to repeat myself, but it really has been a pleasure to serve on this board. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity, and good luck to our new special librarian who will be coming in my place.
And don't be a stranger.
I won't.
Okay, good. Good.
Thank you. Okay, we will go to the Rails Board committee reports. The Advocacy Committee, Gwen?
So the Advocacy Committee did not meet this month, and we're postponing a little bit meeting until the new board members start so that we can possibly get some more members for the committee because several people have left or are finishing right now.
Consortia Committee, Paul?
It has not met, but we'll be meeting soon.
Okay. Executive Committee has not met. And in Burr Ridge, we have Kate Hall with the Nominating Committee.
Hey, Laura. And
Kate.
everyone else on the board. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. I felt like there was a little bit of a lag with Burr Ridge, so I just wanted to make sure. So I first want to say just thank you to Dee and the Rails staff for all of their help, obviously making sure the nominating committee met all of our deadlines. We had a very robust process this year, I think, and really took the board's instructions to heart to have a more diverse slate, which I think was reflected not only in the slate, but in some of the new board members coming on. I also wanted to just congratulate the board members that have been reelected. Congratulations. And I hope you guys have a wonderful year. But I have one more task that was laid before me as the chair of the nominating committee, and that is to recommend a slate of officers for next year's board. There is no voting being done. I'm merely presenting the options that the nominating committee is recommending at this meeting, but the board will actually be voting on that next month after the new board members are sworn in. When we looked at who to nominate for the slate, we of course looked at who was on the board, who is coming onto the board, as well as the geographic representation, because of course this is something that has been a discussion at many Rails board meetings about making sure that we have good representation on the Rails board. And I think that it is also very important to have that representation with the officers as well. So, with all of that being said, I am pleased to announce the slate, which Tom Stagg as treasurer, Sue Busenbark as secretary, Gwen Gregory as our vice president, and we are recommending Paul Mills for next year's Rails board president. And that's all. Okay, it got really quiet.
Thank you, Kate. Okay, the vote for the slate will take place at the July 26th board meeting, and nominations from the floor will be taken at that time. Okay, we will move on to the policy committee.
It has not met, ma'am.
Okay. Resource sharing committee, Jane?
Yes, the Resource Sharing Committee did meet on June 10th. We covered quite a bit of ground. We talked about Explore More Illinois, Find More Illinois, Simple Universal Service, and Layla Heath, our new Library Resources Programs Manager, provided an overview of the Rails cooperative purchases and vendor discounts.
Thank you, Jane. The Universal Service Committee.
That committee has not met.
All right, that wraps up our committee reports, and we will go into Rails reports with the Rails monthly report. Dee.
Yes, thank you. Can everybody hear me all right? First of all, I will ask. Everybody in this room, everybody out there?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so first of all, I will just, in terms of my report, as I say in the beginning there, I did just come back from ALA. So a lot of what I've been doing over the last, since the last board meeting relates to that. At ALA, I went to a lot of meetings about ebooks and about Simply E, which I've been telling you all about. And I did write a report for one of the committees that I'm on about Simply E, which I think I will send to the board after this meeting. I think that would probably be the most helpful. It lays out Illinois' participation up to this point. In terms of access to ebooks, things are going in the wrong direction, actually, with publishers. The Hachette just has announced another embargo of selling new ebooks to libraries of 90 days. So another part of my activity at ALA was to help get a resolution passed through council to get ALA to reform a working group to meet with publishers and try to explain to them again why libraries are actually good for the sales of ebooks, not bad, which they seem to believe that we hurt their revenue when in fact we spend lots of money on ebooks and other things. So that was a lot of my time. Let's see, Explore More continues to grow. As I say in my report, the Heartland Consortium is very interested in joining Explore More, and they are actually enthusiastically bringing attractions to us from that part of Illinois, particularly in the St. Louis area. So that's all really good. So we're very happy about that. The My Library Is website has launched. I think we'll be hearing about that next month.
Next week, yeah, we're doing a soft launch this week. It is live though, if you want to go and take a look at it.
So great, thank you for that, Mary, Brian, Dan, everybody. I did include some information about the budget. Our state budget has been approved. We have not yet received our award letter from the state library, but I am assured it is coming, and Karen may know more about that. I also did provide some information that there is more LSTA money that is coming to the states. Also, Karen may know more about that. That is really good news. I didn't hear any specifics about that at ALA, although I did try to. Let's see, we're doing a survey that we're going to send out to libraries about the unserved. There's a Find More report in the report, some updates on biblio boards and on the campaign, and that's about all I have right now, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. Okay, I guess there aren't any.
Okay, quiet group. It's Friday. Okay, the service of the month report is on Rails IT infrastructure. And is that you, Wes?
It is.
Okay, it's not on my agenda, but I had a feeling it was here.
So we just wanted to kind of go over with you what Rails IT does for the organization.
In addition to this magic that you have performed here.
This is fancy. So basically we handle the data center in Burr Ridge and Springfield. Springfield's a little more hands-off, as the Springfield CMS staff tends to want to control most of their stuff there. But in Burr Ridge, we handle obviously the data center for Rails equipment, as well as ancillary services for the LSAPs in general. We also manage the staff computers, the Wi-Fi that you experience in all the Rails buildings. They also do staff support as well. The printers, all the printers in the facility, we just replaced those recently on a lease. The video camera security systems, we installed those and manage those. Mark looks at them, but we're the ones that take care of them. In Burr Ridge, we also handle the facility access control system. So the key cards that staff and other members use to get into the building are controlled by the IT department. Polycom equipment, that's a whole bag of worms that we're dealing with right now. We're kind of mixing in Zoom as well as the Polycom equipment, which has been actually really successful for us. Zoom seems to be a really good product, and it's going to end up saving Rails quite a bit in our video conferencing software. So phone system, we also handle the maintenance and the patching and security of our phone system. We also do ticket systems for statewide delivery, Rails IT's ticket system, Swan, RSA, and Hurricane. So all of their ticketing systems are managed, updated by Rails IT. L2, that's a big part of our responsibility. We work with the communications team to make sure L2 now is up and running and working. And for the future, we're working on a redesign, a re-implementation of L2 with a grant from the state library. And that kind of falls under the category of special projects as needed. As things come up, as we need to be consulted on various areas of the technology and how it's going to work with Rails, that's what we're there for. So we like to be involved and a part of any meeting that involves anything that gets plugged into the network or goes online or anything like that, just to kind of give our advice to the staff as to how to proceed with stuff. So any other questions? I should call out my team. I don't do this all alone. I have Justin Schmidt, who is my support system administrator. We have Ryan Hebel, who is my senior support specialist, and Golan Lviv, who is my network administrator. So we're looking to add one person to the team. We should have a developer at some point soon here. So that's it. I'm trying to keep it short and not Mark short. Any questions?
Actually, Wes, do you have a direct timeline for the L2 replacement?
The grant ends, I believe, in July of 2020. So that's what we're hoping for. Yeah,
June
yeah,
30th, I believe.
yeah. So we're in the process right now of getting the RFP reviewed by Heartland and other folks, other contributors to the project. So I think you may be on that review process. I'm not sure. So if you would, offered your assistance with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions about IT? Okay.
I just want to say you do a great job with security also. And you and the members of your team go to that DEF Con.
DEF Con, yeah. It's a security conference in Vegas every year, in the time of year that no one wants to go to Vegas. It's usually in July or August, so it's like 110. But that's the cheapest time for all of us security professionals to get together and talk about everything from car hacking to lock picking. Believe it or not, that's an interest in a lot of security people, just the physical security, not just cybersecurity.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you, Wes. All I can say is to get this meeting going, Wes came and visited a couple of weeks ago, and I just said, here's the room. I can't help you get it set up, and he made all this happen for us technologically, so that was great. So thank you. On to the Illinois State Library. Do we have a report from the Illinois State Library?
Well, sort of, kind of. Just a couple of things to follow up with what Dee said is we are here poised to send those award letters as soon as we get authorization to do so. The literacy award letters have gone out, but everything else from Project Next Generation, Radio Information Services, the System for Capita Grants, they are waiting for the final approval to go on. Now, between you and me, there's not any problem with your application. Let me tell you that. And this cycle will start with the July 1 start date, even though the award letter probably will be dated after that. So I just want to make sure that you are comfortable and aware that everything is good.
Thank you.
Dee brought up the Sure.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's just nice to know that everything is okay. We're just waiting. Yes, the award letters are ready. It's just having that permission to send them. Dee brought up the LSTA allotment, and it's kind of misleading because the $4.2 million that we are using this current year is a decrease in the funding because of the state library's inability to make the maintenance of effort requirement during the budget stalemate. And so next year our funding level will go back to normal. So it's not an increase, it's just this year was a decrease. We lost something like 1.4, 1.5 million in funding this year as a result of the stalemate with the budget. Sad but true. Now, do you guys have any questions for me? It's pretty quiet here at the State Library right now.
Pretty quiet here too.
Hey, all right, well, great. All right, well, you know where we are. Anytime you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you.
And Laura, good luck. We'll miss having you on the board.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we are going to go on to new business, and that is the Rails Board meeting schedule for fiscal year 2020. And this is a draft and action requested. Dee? Oh,
Yes,
no.
the final, I think, yeah, we'll
I need to read
approve it in July when we
Okay.
have all the new board members present. But this this follows our, previous schedule. And try, moving the meetings around. Some places we haven't been for a while, forever perhaps, in the case of LaSalle, I'm not sure. The dates are, some of them are not the fourth Friday because of other conferences. So we're open, yes.
So I have a couple things.
Yep.
One is if we are able to do the Zoom thing, maybe we could host one at University of Illinois at Chicago. I know we talked about that, but we weren't able to make it work technically previously, but so maybe we could do that.
Yes,
sometime.
We'll
We
figure
can-
that out. We'll talk offline about who to talk to at UIC, and then we'll.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing is on November 15th is when the Carly annual meeting is. So that is
That
challenging.
always happens, it seems. Yeah. So
I mean, if there's a meeting that day, probably, it might be hard for people, like I probably have to go to that because I'm our Carly liaison.
Right.
And it might affect other academic librarians.
Okay. That is just we can't do it on the regular day because of Thanksgiving. That's probably why you're having your meeting then too, Carly, perhaps. Does anybody have a different suggestion?
Do we want to, we normally skip December. Do we want to, look at like the third Friday in December and just skip the November meeting? I haven't looked at the calendar. I'm not sure what December's looking like when Christmas is and whatnot.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Paul,
I
not
thought-
that it couldn't be moved, but we have a Pinnacle board meeting on the third Friday in December. In the
Oh, on the
afternoon.
20th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That time of year. Well, it's just a draft. I guess we'll, let us ponder, let the staff can ponder, and then we'll decide in July, I guess, when we hear from the entire board. Any other dates or places?
Just a location to consider, as LaSalle, I think would be great because we haven't been in that part of Rails in quite some time.
Right.
Another possibility would be actually Kankakee. We've not been in that part of.
Is that still working there?
Yep.
Okay.
It fixed itself the other day.
Okay.
We just
Sure.
we haven't been there in quite a few
I
years.
don't think we've
Or
ever
maybe
had
ever,
a board meeting. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Deirdre, one other note, on the proposed schedule, we have February 28th, and PLA is crazy early next year. It's actually that week. It's in February.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. We missed that. That's why it's a draft, right? Okay. We will do some more work on that. Anybody else have any red flags or suggestions? New members who are here, any suggestions, any concerns? No? Okay, all right, we'll see what happens. We'll see what we can figure out. We'll talk to the people at UIC. We'll talk again next month.
You need a motion to, just so we can get July on the books to approve this draft.
That's probably a good idea.
I would move to approve the draft schedule as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Just so we can have a real July.
A real meeting, yes.
Yeah. And that is in the morning is the orientation, just a reminder. I think all of our new board members, right?
Or when he made the motion, we have to do all of them.
Okay, so all in favor of adopting the draft?
I have a question on we're adopting the drafts. Are we adopting it as presented or as it will be?
That was his motion. I think with the idea that we're going to revise it, but whatever.
Just so we can get July officially, we have the official schedule of meetings and we can meet in July and requirements for having approved scheduled meeting for the upcoming year.
So actually,
Maybe Paul's motion was to approve the July meeting date.
was placed it on the July agenda.
And yes, and with, I think, and we certainly are gonna, I'm sure, we know we're gonna have to revise it, I think there, but I think we need to have that schedule approved just to satisfy OMA requirements that we have approved a calendar schedule for the subsequent year. It doesn't mean we can't go back and
If we're just approving a draft, that imply that it's not finalized, that it'll be,
that we can, that we can go back and revisit it. I think there's an expectation that the board will have a calendar of meetings for the subsequent fiscal year. There's nothing that says we can't go back and revise it with proper notice.
we can say, first edition.
Yeah, I think as long as the minutes show that we're going to revisit it in July.
Yes, I'm going to call the question.
Okay, thank you. That means vote.
Okay, okay, so all in favor of adopting the draft schedule of the Rails FY 2020 board meeting schedule, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, then next we will have executive director goals for 2020, and Dee will discuss.
Yes, thank you. So there is a document in your packet. And again, thank you very much for the discussion at last month's meeting. So this is a list of the goals that I suggested, along with ones that the board suggested in the performance evaluation. And I did put in there what some people indicated agreement with them, some things that I recommended. There were a couple of duplicate suggestions, so I noted that. Then, as I said, the last at the end are suggestions from the board. And then just at the very end, a note that I made an error in my review narrative. The LSAT formula will not change in 2020. It may change in 2021. Did I even get that right? Was it 2022 or 2021?
We're changing, we're looking at changing in 2022.
2022, so I still didn't get it right. I can't get these years or just, so 2022, so we don't have to, we have a whole year to plan it. That was my point. So I'm interested in what you have to say about these. Obviously these are goals for me as well as for Rails. Any comments from anybody?
Very reasonable, Dee. So,
Oh. Allow the other member.
Yes, Nadia.
yeah, I thought they looked reasonable, so very good.
Okay.
And I was going to say, I like the way you went through and analyzed all our responses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another challenging list.
Well, has to be, right?
No, and they're excellent. You've done a great job with all your goals in the past. It's always an impressive list.
Well,
I would think number 9 is a really important one. I would say working with LSL and Heartland for possible funding increases for that subsequent fiscal year.
Yep.
We have been operating on flat funding for as long as I can remember, and not counting the years where we didn't receive full funding.
Right.
So we all know costs go up. We've, I think, exhibited really strong fiscal management over the years, particularly when there was in the budget impasse years, but that's a very forward-looking goal. I really like that one.
Yes, well, I'm an optimist. You have to be in this job, in this industry. So, yes, we certainly want to have a good plan. If you don't have a good plan, whether it comes true or not, you're not ready to take advantage of any opportunities.
I don't remember, how many goals did we have for you for the year that is just now completing?
There may have been more. I don't know. I don't know, and I don't have it with me. But I mean, we could certainly discuss it again next month if you want the whole board to see it. I just wanted to get on this while all of our minds were, could still remember what we talked about.
I'm really glad we have 2 incoming board members here in the audience, so that's great. So they have an opportunity to see that, and perhaps the best, of course, is then July to actually set your goals for the year. Like I say, I am really glad you're both here. You can see the conclusion of this year and plans for next year.
Yes.
I think, it would be, if I may make a suggestion, I think it would be helpful if you wouldn't mind putting together your recommended list for the board to consider, to consolidate this and with your priorities. I think that'd be very helpful for the board to see.
Okay, you want it in priority order, are you saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try. Is it okay if I have 1A, 1B, 1C?
Yes.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, great. That's fabulous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, and now we are, if you haven't heard Christine Barr, I believe, Christine, will this be your last meeting with us?
Yes, unfortunately it will. I just accepted an assistant principal position on Wednesday in a different school district. I'm currently in Geneva, and I'm going to the Central 301 district, which is Burlington. And so I will no longer be serving in the capacity as a school librarian, which is weird because that's all I've known as an educator for the last however many years. So.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Did you say
Thank you.
Burlington?
Correct, in Burlington, yes.
Well, Christine, best of luck. I know that this year you gave, I think, at least one presentation on school libraries, and I learned a lot from it. So I was really grateful for that. And thank you to your service with the board, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you. And I truly appreciate everyone, and I will definitely miss serving the Rails board. So thank you to all of you.
You're welcome. Okay.
So it means we have a dilemma. I think you have is there 1 year left on your term, Christine?
Correct, just one.
Okay, and Christine is in the school library seat, which is, we've been very focused on our services to school libraries that are need to do more advocacy, et cetera. So, so our procedure, as it is written, is to, is as you see, where we advertise, we interview, the executive committee appoints. There's a number of difficulties, and I'm still trying to, this did just happen, still trying to figure out what the best course is, but let me just lay out the situation. So, it's almost summer. It is summer. Schools, thank goodness, school is out, so it's not that easy or likely, for obvious reasons, that we could get a good that we would have access, that school librarians would be paying attention to anything we might do, whether it's a procedure, or even if we were to decide to have an election. So, and we can do that if we want to, but I don't know if, obviously the board can change, can decide to do something different. So Mary and I have talked about this, and our crack election team, Mary and Brian, and Emily, of course. I just don't know if we could get that done this summer, and then that means we would wait till the fall, but, probably to have somebody seated, and then, of course, the term is up next June. We would immediately start having another election in March, or even March, we'll say, which is all fine. But I just wanted you to all know what, that doing something now may not necessarily be, doing something quickly may not necessarily be possible or even the best idea. Michael does have a lot of contacts among school libraries because of his work, and so I think he can really be helpful to us.
So I thought I would send Deidre and maybe use some possible folks that you might consider.
So, yeah, yes.
I would suggest that we go ahead with the normal procedure at this time. Because A, we want to fill the seat. Also, the individuals we might reach out to might be looking at things are the type of people we want on the board. And I think we should look forward to trying to recruit somebody the normal way, because election is always a fallback position.
We can always do that. That's true.
So I think if we went ahead now, and I'm just thinking of an individual that I could reach out to who has contacts in school libraries, to let the word out. I think we can get some good nominations or interest in the position.
Yeah, and Dan and I have a couple of school librarians we've been talking to from the Peoria area. I mean, maybe, it sounds like we all may have a school librarian we could reach out to and let them know, or a few of us do, that maybe we could reach out to.
And it might be easier to schedule interviews with school librarians now during the summer than during the school year. They may not have some of the constraints on their time. Once school starts up, I know they're going to be very busy, especially at the beginning.
If I can interject, I also have a couple people in mind that I'm colleagues with in Geneva that would be excellent for the position. I'm happy to reach out to them, and then if they are interested, I could send their names along.
I would agree with Dave. I think doing the normal procedure, I think we have enough contacts. Other people have mentioned it. A question I had, in district, the statutes regarding public library districts, when the vacancies occur, there's I don't know the word that's there, but there's a requirement from the state that boards proceed with some sense of speed to fill those positions. And our bylaws don't specifically state that, but I wasn't sure if the rules that govern us have a similar requirement that we move with some alacrity in filling an open position.
It's not in the System Act, but it might be in something even bigger than that. Did you have a?
So I had a question. This seemed like I had heard this before. So is Chicago Public Schools member of Rails?
Yes.
So librarians from Chicago Public Schools would be possible. Okay.
Yes, we do serve the schools in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
All the libraries, including yours, obviously, except for Chicago.
That'd be great.
I guess the only, the other piece of this that Mary and I talked about, again, I'm just putting this out there because I just want you to think about this all. I don't disagree with anything anybody said, is that, possibly having an election garners more widespread notice of things that Rails is doing, might be more inclusive of more school librarians. I only, as I say, I don't disagree with anything anybody said, but I just, given that we've been talking all year about, engagement and participation, I just want us to, as you said, an election is always the fallback. We want to get somebody on the board who's really committed and will work. But I just want to put that out there as well, so that you all are comfortable.
So I guess I probably should know this, but I don't. So when someone does leave the board in midterm, what is the usual procedure?
Well, what we've done in the past is appoint somebody to fill out the term.
So you appoint and then you wait till the election and have a full election?
Yeah.
Okay. Just curious.
Unless they happen to resign when they, I mean, it just so happened that Liza left, when we were having an election.
Right.
So,
How nice of her.
I know, right? Not all of life is not so well planned.
Right.
So do you want us to proceed then to advertise and collect contacts and see where we end up?
Yes.
So just
Okay.
one more, so when
Yes.
would be the election then? If you waited till election time, when's the next
The
election?
next election is next year, like this.
Oh, so it would be a full year,
Yeah.
right? That's okay.
And this person is, obviously, that would be the end of the term of this person too, which is also another weird reason to not wait and do an election for this person in September and then have them only be in the term 6 months. It's, like I say, it's all very tricky.
So do we need any more action?
I don't know, I mean, I
Okay.
think we'll just follow the procedure. I don't think you need to wait.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, well, executive committee members, you will be hearing from us. Okay.
Okay, we will move on to number 9, unfinished business.
I don't think we have any yet.
I think there's a blank there,
Yeah.
but I thought,
Blank.
okay. So then we can move on to number 10, board development, and a report on the Special Library Association Conference from Dan.
Hi, everyone. So Rails continues to be very interested in supporting the needs of our special libraries. So to that end, I attended the 2019 Special Libraries Association Conference in Cleveland last week. This is the annual conference for hundreds of special librarians from all parts of the world. Typically, the attendance is around 1,000 to 2,000. I didn't get a final number. The conference comes at sort of a difficult time for SLA. I attended their open board meeting on June 15th. There are some significant warning signs for SLA as an organization. In the past 5 years, they've lost 4,000 members, which is 50% of their entire membership. To give you just some perspective, in 2014, the membership was around 8,000 members. Conference attendance was also down this year, and the organization was talking about losing around $400,000 to $500,000 on the conference. So it was really, things weren't looking so great. The SLA board has been trying to identify new revenue streams. They're also talking a lot about consolidation. Divisions and chapters within the organization are merging. The conference itself was good. I don't want to sound all negative. There was a lot of great content, a lot of great programs. Many of the programs that I attended were heavily focused on leadership, career development, as well as project management and resources. I particularly want to call out one session that I attended that was on what to do when your parent organization merges as a librarian. So there was a librarian from an energy company in Canada who talked about demonstrating your value. All this certainly ties into our My Library Is campaign. She developed a template in order to determine the value of resources that the library provides for the parent organization. I asked her for a copy of that document. She was happy to provide it afterwards, and we're going to put that up on our campaign site fairly soon. Another session I attended was on vendor pricing and negotiations. So this is a lot of what special librarians do. They have to be the negotiator for their organization, talking with providers for things like journals, electronic resources, things like that. So like in a specialized setting, a financial services company or consulting firm, a librarian will need to access very specific resources, and these can be very expensive. So data sets, company reports, industry briefs. The session was presented by a consultant, someone who helps libraries negotiate these contracts, and his perception was that the prices for these materials continue to rise. Pushed down by vendor consolidation, annual contract increases. It used to be like 3 to 5% every single year. These days, it can be 15 to 30% higher every single year. And in a lot of these cases, the libraries don't have a lot of leverage. So their users need these resources. It's important for their particular brand of work. So again, it was a little bit depressing, hard to listen to, but important to know the issues that our special librarians are facing. I continued to talk to special librarians in and around Rails, and they appreciate whatever we can offer in terms of continuing education, discounts, group purchasing, or just networking. So, any questions?
To what do they attribute their difficulties?
Great question. You know, I think a lot of things. I think companies not seeing the value of the library, not understanding the value that those people use. Not everyone's great at articulating that value.
So fewer libraries.
Definitely
not
fewer
just-
libraries, but also fewer staff within those libraries. So I heard someone say that they, 10 years ago, they were a staff of 15, and now they're staff of 2, that type of thing. So, and the definition, of course, of special libraries is anything that's not a public school or an academic library. So they serve a lot of different capabilities, but the commonality seems to be that it is very difficult out there. A lot of them, and this has even happened in the vendors that I've talked to, a lot of them have been consolidated or outsourced. They've had to become their own consultants. And when that happens, typically they give up their membership.
So just for SLA, so this would not affect their membership drop, but at least for the conference, it did run at the same week as another, the American Association of Engineering Education, where a lot of academic engineering libraries went. So we had a vendor come to us who said that the vendors were even kind of like conflicted this year as to which one. So I think this year having SLA at the same time as another conference probably attributed in some way to the lower attendance, not the problems with the membership, but at least with this one. Yeah, and I mean, just from our perspective, we have not had a drop in the number of staff, but the vendor or the people we negotiate with our databases, the costs just keep going up and up. But we don't always have control over our budgets. They can be set by the corporation. So, we're constantly, and it's the same thing that you face it in the public library. It's the same thing that I would say all libraries face. Costs keep getting up. Our budgets tend to be flatter. I mean, we're constantly asked, it seems like every so often we have to do let's prove our value at Caterpillar spiel, and we have to make, we put together a bunch of stuff and that type of thing. So, so none of that is anything that we haven't heard where we are. But we haven't had any staff changes yet. And we don't have anything that has indicated that we're going to have any in the near future. But I don't think that's the case for all specialists. I don't know if you have any.
Our
insight?
staff is secure right now, but I will say the vendors, especially in special libraries, have a tendency to have more of a monopolistic hold on us because our materials are so specialized. There are just that many fewer vendors that can supply that material. So I had a vendor that literally put in writing, I go up 25% every year. Like, my budget does not go up, my revenue does not go up 25% every year. So it's just the vendors are really driving us now.
And I don't know if it's the same for you, but like the same vendors we use are probably the same as academics. I mean, the things we subscribe to, we're going to subscribe to a database with a lot of engineering information. So if you look at all the people that are subscribing to those databases, it's heavily academic libraries. So we are not the biggest part of their business. So if academics can afford to pay for it, which is the biggest part of their business, that's going to drive the decision more of a vendor than us.
Well, a lot of it is not even libraries doing it. It's like, then this goes like for legal databases. It's not, libraries are not the main customers. It's like law firms and lawyers outside of libraries. And I think in academic libraries, we see sort of related to special libraries, we see kind of spillover of people that come that don't have special libraries. And so they try to use us, or alums who try to use us, or new graduates, or even know people that they hire students because then their students can use their academic library access to do stuff because they don't have a special library. A lot of people in the business world don't have a special library, so they try and do it some other way.
Yeah, and I don't mean to pile on the vendors and aggregators at all, but this consultant that I was in a session talked about, they also have sort of restricted the amount of end user data that they are giving back to the libraries to use that to prove a point to parent organizations about the usage of and they're sort of cloaking it in patron data or privacy exactly, which is I don't know. So I think it's our duty to push back against that because we need that information. Other questions?
Well, thank you for that, those insights though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are at 11 Rail Board member reports. Would anyone like to share what is happening at their library? We can start here, or anybody on the phone or at any of our locations.
I'll start it. I'm having a great summer because we're doing lots of bids and RFPs, which I find to be a lot of fun and interesting. So might just be me. We have a bid out for a new bookmobile, so that's exciting. We're doing an RFP for banking services. We're doing an RFP for new self-checks. We've got 3 more RFPs scheduled for the rest of the year, and just really having a great time. So I thought I would share that.
I'm Ron.
Okay.
So Fox River Grove is having their centennial. And so July 6th, we'll have our, we do an annual fireworks. And so the library will be selling glow sticks and glow necklaces. And the board will be out in force and their families will be selling that at that event. And so it should be a fun time for all at that event there in Fox River Grove.
Anyone else have anything to share? Okay, it is quiet today. End of a long week. Okay, agenda building for the next Rails board meeting. The next board meeting will be held Friday, July 26th in Burr Ridge. There will be an orientation session for the incoming board members from 8 a.m. till noon, and that will be followed by lunch and then the board meeting at 1 p.m. Veteran board members are invited to the orientation as well. On the agenda will be the swearing in of new board members, election of board officers, committee appointments by the new president, and approval of the board meeting calendar. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Yes.
All right. Well, so with that, I will adjourn my final board meeting, or maybe for 2 years, who knows? I will adjourn this board meeting at 2:04 p.m. Today, June 28th, 2019. And thank you, everyone, for the last 6 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
I know.